All right, so I'm live now. I am live. Now, this is like my fourth attempt of doing this. So many technical difficulties. I was trying to use like a little, what is this called? A little webcam, but I don't know, the webcam wasn't working right and it was messing with the audio and things like that. But now I think that we're working. Okay. So today is just all about, what it's like being American living outside of the country. Okay. So being American, living outside of America, I think I had some time to reflect on this. And I think the biggest thing is that I've learned is how big the world is, right? Like outside of America, I know a lot of Americans think that the world is just what they tell you in school. Like, okay, when you go to Brazil, there's Rio, or when you go to Germany, there's Munich, or when you go to the Netherlands, there's Amsterdam. When we think about Europe, anyways, like when I was raised, I just thought London, Paris, you know, that's pretty much it. That's all I really knew. But when I like got outside, I learned that there was like so much more to a country than just that one location. Like for instance, like when you go to America, a lot of people that live outside of America, they may just think about New York and LA. But when you get outside, you really realize that there's so much more to America than just New York and LA. And the whole world is like that, right? So I think that when you start traveling, you realize that there's so many places and so many beautiful things to see. Like for instance, a few months ago, me and a team we were down in Guatemala filming for Black Kids Travel, and we were in the city called Antigua, Antigua, Guatemala, and I had never heard of it before we went. And if I would have never traveled there, I would have never knew that it was so many beautiful things there. I didn't know that the roads were so beautiful, the people were so beautiful. There were so many expats, like travelers there, and it was like a place that I actually could live. And I was really shocked because I didn't expect that, right? So I think that traveling, that's one big thing that you learn when you travel. Another thing is like the possibilities are endless, right? Um, when you start to travel, you like meet so many people that do so many different things, right? So say if like you were just a content creator or you were like a marketer in America. When you travel outside of America, you might meet some Russians and they may be good at like growth hacking, or you might meet somebody that is good at flying kites. I don't know, or playing chess or whatever it is. You learn so many different skills. The possibilities are endless. Like you may pick up different hobbies. Like for instance, I started to surf when I lived in Bali, and then when I first left America, really left America, I went to Mexico, and Mexico is cool, but it's a lot of Americans that are in Mexico, so it was just a step out of Mexico, really, like to live. I mean, I moved to Germany for a little bit, and that was cool too, but I think that I really realized that it's all about the people that you meet abroad. And I couldn't really meet them if I stayed in my like small area in Michigan where I'm from originally. And even in LA, like I meet a lot of people because it's an international city and stuff. But like when you actually go to these places, you feel your vibe, you meet people, you really, you know, your life takes a different path that you may have not expected. So another thing I wrote down is things aren't as expensive, like when you go outside of the country, even in a more expensive country, there's so many things that maybe in America you've been accustomed to paying a lot of money for and it may be cheaper somewhere else. Like sometimes rent, especially if you come from a place like LA or New York and you're paying $5,000 a month, and you can go here in South Africa where the view is beautiful, the weather is beautiful, like all the time, and the prices to live isn't as expensive, which is cool too. So yeah, I think that the prices is definitely a big thing that I wrote down too. And mind you, I wrote all stuff down here. I just like jotted down some things that really I've learned when I've been traveling. And I also learned to be independent, right? Because when you travel abroad, you don't have your parents there. You don't have like, maybe like all your close friends or those people you can rely on and call when things happen, right? So you got to truly look out for yourself. And you don't know, like when you're in a different country, you don't know how the country really rocks. You don't know who's going to rob you. You don't know if people are super nice. You only can just go off of use your judgment or discernment, right? So I think it really teaches you how to be independent and think for yourself. Get your own groceries. and things like that, right? So you grow up kind of fast when you live alone and abroad, um, because you really got to look out for yourself, and you meet people that you look out for, and they also look out for you, which is cool too. Yeah, you really learn how to make new friends when you travel, because it'll get lonely if you don't know how to meet people. It's a book called How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie, and it talks a lot about things that you learn when you are across seas, because it's hard to be like a very selfish, mean person when you are a traveler, because then people won't like you and you'll be alone. But you really don't want to be alone when you're outside of the country. It's another thing that I learned. Um, I learned that my problems are small too. So, for instance, where I came from, I didn't come from the best neighborhood in the world. I didn't come from the worst neighborhood in the world. I came from a good place, because I had two loving parents. They weren't in the same household, but they still loved me, which I'm very fortunate for. But I think when you leave the country, right, like here in South Africa, if I drive down the road, I can really see poverty, like the stuff you see on TV, like real poverty. And it's crazy because you see, these people that are literally trying to just get a meal, on a day-to-day basis. Like you just go down the street and you really see it like on a day-to-day basis. It's like right in front of you. And they're not just like homeless people. Like you got like the homeless people in America or whatever, but you got the people that are just like struggling. So I think that that's like a reminder, and it makes me feel very grateful and humble for the experiences that I've been having in life. Like, because I feel like I've been fortunate. I've been fortunate to grow up in America. I've been fortunate that like I was born speaking English, right? To where I know a lot of the world's money moves in English, and I would say Chinese too, but in English, right? So I'm grateful to be born with that. And I think a lot of times we don't really realize how lucky we are in this world. And even if you don't speak English, a different language, right? A lot of us have these problems we deem are problems, but they're not really that big of problems. So another thing I learned from living outside of America, and I think honestly, just like being a better person, that's one thing that it taught me, because it really taught me to go in within myself, because I didn't really turn to anybody else, and that helps me like honestly just be a better person and treat other people nice. And I think that that reflects when you go back to your hometown and you meet people and you see people that you haven't seen in a long time actually, and they're like, yo, you've changed. And if you really boil down to how you change, I think it's just you really learn how to be a better person. And the last thing I wrote on this list is, in every country that I've been to, and I've been to like 80 something countries, I've been to not half the world yet, but I'm working on it. Um, I've learned that in every country, I've really learned skills. Like for instance, like I won't say every country, but a lot of countries. Like say for instance, when you go to France, you learn etiquette, or when you go over to China, you really learn hustle. When you go over to I don't know, Indonesia, you really learn how to be zen and family and connection like that. You go to America, you really learn business. Like every place you go to, you learn different things from these cultures. So I think that when you travel and you really embrace yourself in the culture, you learn so much. Like here in South Africa, I'm still filling out what I'm really learning from being here, but I'm learning what it's like to have a lot and not have a lot at the same time. Like it's such a first world country, but they have third world problems at the same time, like internet stuff with corruption. But I think that you really learn how to be a better person from traveling, because it's like you're building a Sims character or something. You're putting a whole bunch of pieces together and making like this ultimate machine for yourself. So yeah, that's all I want to share for you. A little 10-minute Tuesday, I think it is Tuesday, maybe Monday, Tuesday. I don't really know the days. 10-minute Tuesdays. Maybe I might call it 10-minute Tuesday. But yeah, I just wanted to share with you guys what I've been learning from traveling abroad. And I think that everybody should do it, because it really helps you grow as a human. And that's all I got to say today. And I hope to see you in the next one, maybe tomorrow, maybe in a few days. I'll let you guys know. And peace, love, and blessings. Cool.